2020, what a year. A lot of us got kicked in the teeth, and it was a rough one for StarCraft as well. Offline tournaments disappeared, and Blizzard kinda did the inevitable and backed further away from StarCraft 2, labeling it a legacy game and everything that is going to eventually entail. On the other hand, it was a pretty banner year for balance. After a year of Zerg supremacy, we saw some corrections eventually settle into one of the better years we've ever had in terms of parity. And we had some great games. And if you'll let me, I'd like to share my favorite 10. Just stick around and I'll give you my list. And I'll be putting links in the video's description below. That way you can check out any games you might have missed. First things first. This video is going to contain a few spoilers. I'm going to be telling people why these games were awesome. If you prefer to watch the games without any preconceptions whatsoever, just go surfing in the links in the description. You will not be disappointed. Secondly, the list is limited to games I've cast on this channel. I'm sure there's many other great games out there. I'm only one person. Well, only if you don't count my imaginary friends. So, what makes a top 10 game? What is the criteria I used here? Firstly, I like cheese. I'm sorry, but I really do. And I also love long games. But more than both of those, I love close games. Games with a lot of back and forth. Comebacks are even better. But above all, I have a complete love fest for games that can teach me something new about the game that I love. So any combination of that, and you'll see it on this list. So without further ado, adjutant if you would please.
Number 10.
Scarlet vs. M. Canning, a best of 3 from DreamHack Fall. I'm just gonna say that this series had everything, including a zealot that turned into a drone, a mothership recall swarm defense, and grade A celebratory photos. You knew there was no way I was gonna make a top 10 list without Scarlet, and M. Canning is the only player who makes my list twice.
Number 9.
Cure vs. Patience in a single match from a ladder game. This is a short one that features an unconventional rush build with a great defense. And then the way it plays out from there is just a joy to behold.
Number 8.
Rainer vs. Clem. This one is a single game from Nation Wars. France vs. Italy. But it feels like a best of 7. This one was a crowd pleaser. Tons of micro moments, tons of Baneling hits, Hellbats with 37 kills on them, and the best changeling drop of all time. Nuff said. The next one, adjutant, is...
Number 7.
M. Canning versus Nina, who was previously known to us as Puck. This is a madman single game of PvP on Death Aura. 2 totally different strats by 2 totally different players leads to dueling recalls and the most insane act of stasis ward dodging I've ever seen. Did you know they could be dodged? If you didn't, you'll want to see this one.
Number 6.
Estrella vs. Super. This one's a best of 5 from IEM Katowice. I know what you're thinking. What's the deal, Zugzwang, with the PvP? It's too volatile to make a best of list. But I'm telling you, game 1 of this series is cray-cray. And it's the reason why I don't have nails left on my fingers. Simultaneous rushes, clutch defenses, supply caps, and unpowered buildings galore. Miss the map Ephemeron? Don't miss this game.
Number 5.
The Night King himself versus the Muslim. How does this make the list? This is a non-tournament game, which is as big a pummeling as you would expect based on the matchup. But the Finnish Phenom pulls a game-ending stunt that is so mind-blowing, it has to make the list just for that one thing. If you haven't heard about this one, you got some viewing to do.
Number 4.
Go Joey versus But Always. A game that took place during DreamHack Fall 2020 on the Asian server. Okay, there's probably a little bias going on here because it's a poorly kept secret how much I love But Always. But come on, this game was awesome. After a whole bunch of crazy backdoor shenanigans, we ultimately wind up with a split map scenario on Golden Wall, no less. How often does that happen? And oh yeah, all of this happens during the rise of the Void Ray, something that Bud always knows a little bit about. Oh, and one more thing. That's just game 1.
Number 3.
A Laser vs. Marine Lord, also from DreamHack Fall. This game appears as number 1 on a lot of people's 2020 lists, so you probably won't be surprised to see it here. I didn't know this was going to be such a gangbuster game when I cast it though, so I was joyously surprised. It's got a lot more flying Terran buildings than you're used to seeing in a pro game, and a Laser's micro against the Widow Mines is off the charts.
Number 2.
The epic length game of Sue vs. Neeb from Nation Wars. Now, long doesn't always mean good, but in this case, it kinda does. An amazing comeback win. Now, confession, this game was technically played at the end of 2019, but since I cast it in 2020, it kinda deserved inclusion. And it's one of the games that inspired the whole Crimson Zone thing, so it's kinda special to me for that as well. I can't believe this next one is our grand winner, but it also could not be, if you know what I mean. Here we go, for the game of the year.
Number 1.
Probe vs. Rogue from DreamHack 2020 Fall. There's so much going on in this weird little game that it's almost indescribable. It's a cannon rush, it's an everything rush, and Rogue's pretty much gonna only make lings, cause his buddies dared him to do that one night at the bar. Which also probably inspired the Spinecrawler line dance that takes place. It was one inebriated hoedown. So that's my list for 2020. What's your take? Who's been missed? Who are the honorable mentions? And which games had no business being on anybody's list? Well, 2020's not yet over, but this is my official opportunity to wish you all a happy new year, and to say, from my base to yours, Zugzwang out. To continue your StarCraft journey, No, don't do any of this stuff. There's 10 wicked links in the description below. That's all you need here.
Click the video in the bottom rectangle.
I guess you could subscribe if you want to. That would be okay in my book too.
Subscribe.
Happy New Year, everyone.
StarCraft. Just hit the circle.
From my base to yours, Zugzwang out.